A warm and pleasant good afternoon to all the Wipnet Science Club members and all present over here. So we consider this as a privilege to perform few experiments in front of all of you all. So basically today our children of New Horizon Public School, Panvel, would be presenting few experiments on making hand sanitizers and air freshener. So, the COVID 19 pandemic that has raged since 2020 has shown yet again how vulnerable is the human race to disease. Preventive measures that limit the spread of this virus are paramount. Like we have been practicing social distancing, regular use of face mask, washing hands with soap and water. But if the access to soap and water is limited, and if it's not accessible, then the best alternative for it is our hand sanitizers. And we can say that it is like a good alternative to soap and water. So today, our children of New Horizon Public School will be presenting an experiment to make hand sanitizers. Secondly, today, the second experiment that we'll be doing is air fresheners. So I would like to I would like to ask the children of New Horizon Public School over to Swar now.
Hello everyone, I'm Swar Chandevamar from New Horizon Public School, Panvel. Welcome to the IVSA Wipnet Science Club. Hand sanitizers. One of the most displayed word after face mask is a necessity for all of us today. A weapon against COVID-19, which is asked to be kept every time ready. It's an hand sanitizers were first introduced in 1966 in medical settings such as hospitals and healthcare facilities. The product was popularized in early 1990. In early weeks of lockdown, the high jump in the demand of the sanitizer made it out of stock. Retailers used demand and supply and increased the price of the product. So today we are going to make ourselves a hand sanitizer formulated by WHO, World Health Organization, United Nations ultimate health and medical body. Moreover, being a science club member, we should all be curious that what a sanitizer consists of, why does it added, and what makes it uses while adding it. So let's start the making of a DIY hand sanitizer. Thank you. Over to Parth.
Thank you, Swar. That was a wonderful introduction. Now I would like to explain the ingredients used in our hand sanitizer. Mainly, we have used 4 basic ingredients in our hand sanitizer. Firstly, we have used distilled water. Distilled water is solution which is first evaporated from its original container and then condensed in a different container. This removes the impurities that might be present in it. We can also use boiled water in place of distilled water as a replacement. Just bring the boiled water to the room temperature before using it. One of the most important material in our hand sanitizer is isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol, also known as isopropanol or IPA, is the most common and widely used disinfectant within hospitals, clean rooms, and electronics or medical devices manufacturing. Isopropyl alcohol, particularly in solutions between 60 to 90% alcohol with 10 to 40% purified water, is rapidly antimicrobacterial against bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The presence of water is a crucial factor in destroying or inhibiting the growth of pathogenic microorganisms with isopropyl alcohol. Water acts as a catalyst and plays a key role in denaturing the proteins of vegetative cell membrane. Solutions with more than 91% IPA do kill bacteria, but sometimes require longer contact times for disinfection and enable spores to lie in a dormant state without being killed. Some disinfectants will kill spores, which are classified as chemical sterilant. Another material used in our hand sanitizer is glycerin. Glycerin is a clear viscous liquid used as a moisturizer in skincare products and as a food ingredient. It helps prevent our hands from drying out. You can find it in the drugstore with other skincare products. The purpose of the gel is to make the product easier to carry around so people have it when they need it. It also slows the evaporation of the alcohol so it stays on the skin long enough to work well. And it also makes it gentler on the hands. Lastly, we have used hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide works as a disinfectant by destroying essential components of germ cells and can deactivate a wide range of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and spores. Hydrogen is often used to clean wounds and cuts and cuts as a household cleaner, also an
तिथं पोचावं लागतं 5 ला.
that kills viruses, bacteria, and other germs according to the Centers for
चावी
Disease
घेऊन जा तुमची.
Prevention.
Please put off your mics. Others, those who are not participants.
According to CDC, a concentration of 3% hydrogen peroxide can inactivate rhinovirus, the respiratory virus that primarily causes the common cold within only 8 minutes. Now I would like to call on Aditya to explain the further procedure of making of our hand sanitizer. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. That was a wonderful explanation of the ingredients that we are going to use in our hand sanitizer. Now, we'll start with making up our hand sanitizer, whose formula is recommended by WHO, World Health Organization. So we'll need some ingredients, which is glycerine, then we'll need hydrogen peroxide, and then isopropyl alcohol. We have glycerine, which is 98% sure, and hydrogen peroxide, which is 3%, and isopropyl alcohol, which is 70% alcohol and 30% is water. Now I'll tell you why water is it and why alcohol is it. So this isopropyl alcohol, it will require at least 1 cup of isopropyl alcohol for a hand sanitizer. 1 bottle would be enough for 2 to 3 times use of our hand sanitizer. Now, why are we using it? Because isopropyl alcohol, it destroys various microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and also it has water which acts as a catalyst, bacteria, and also it sometimes helps to speeding up the process of the microorganisms which alcohol uses to kill them. We'll pour them now. Now we are done. The next thing we are going to use is hydrogen peroxide. We are going to use 1 tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide basically deactivates many viruses, fungi, and we can see that it's a brother of isopropyl alcohol. Be careful with isopropyl alcohol and hydrogen peroxide because they may cause burn on your hands. Now I'll pour it. It also deactivates or inactivates the rhinovirus, which causes respiratory disease, which is the common cold, in only 8 minutes. So it's quite useful. Next thing we are going to use, it's our glycerine. I'll just keep it aside. Yeah. So glycerine is a thick liquid, as you can see here. It's kind of thick liquid, not much, moving like water. So we need only 1 tablespoon of glycerin here. Basically, it's at moisture, and we must have observed that a hand sanitizer, when we put on our hands, it evaporates very quickly. But if we add glycerin in a hand sanitizer, it won't evaporate quickly. Glycerin basically slows the evaporation process of our isopropyl alcohol and the hydrogen peroxide solution. Now we'll mix it so that all the components, all the ingredients of our hand sanitizer get mixed together so that they can be more effective in the purpose which you have designed, disinfecting. Now we are done with our mixing. Now we need an empty spray bottle, which we must have, and a funnel. So first open the cap of it. Yeah. Please be careful with the funnel and all. Hold it tight. We will pour it into it. Okay, now we are done. Yeah, here we are done with the hand sanitizer. Now We will just put our hands just in it. Yeah, we are done. Now we'll just little bit of shake it so that it's again just get mixed. After some time, our hand sanitizer will be ready. It's done. It's ready now. We can already smell the smell or the aroma which is spreading in the room. I'll just show you.
ഹാൻഡ് സാനിറ്റൈസർ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കാണിക്കുക ഞങ്ങളുടെ പിള്ളേര്.
We can also use it on bare hands, but I'll remove it. This. And also the gloves are use and throw. So please make sure that you throw it. We are done now with the hand sanitizer. I would request Swar to give us some information about the questions we might have aroused while I'm doing the sanitizer. Now, Swar, please handle it.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Now I have a question for you all. Why do we add glycerin? A simple question. I'm sure we have discussed it earlier. Anyone who would like to answer?
Is it for students or is it for all?
Anyone can answer.
Students of St. Mary's, please come on.
Please answer. Siddesh, why did he use the glycerin? What would the alcohol do otherwise if you put it on the skin? And why do you add the glycerin? That point was mentioned.
It would evaporate.
So
Yeah. So what if I ask you, how would glycerin help in not evaporating alcohol? I have an answer for it. The reason behind this lies in their molecular structure. If you see the molecular structure of glycerin, you'll find 3 OH ions, and the molecular structure of isopropyl alcohol, only 1 OH ion. OH ions are actually responsible for making hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are simply a strong force of attraction between two particles or molecules with OH ions or any other type of ion like nitrogen and hydrogen ions. So in OH ions, it actually forms hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds are simply a force of attraction which doesn't help in making a molecule. Actually, they increase the intermolecular force between the molecules of the substance. So
May I
what
say
you actually
something?
do?
May I say something?
Yes,
I'm
Shrirupa
Dr.
ma'am. Shrirupa ma'am, please help.
Swar, please rectify yourself. Both isopropyl alcohol and glycerin or glycerol, they are organic compounds, and these hydroxyl groups are there, not OH ions.
that's what I was thinking.
Followed, hydroxyl groups are there, and these groups are capable of producing hydrogen bonding just
Single
like
dipoles.
water.
Yes.
Followed?
Yes, ma'am. Dipole. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So these hydroxyl groups actually form a force of attraction, which are called hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are simply intermolecular, which are a force of attraction which increases the intermolecular force of attraction. When you heat a substance, when you try to boil it, what you actually do is reduce the intermolecular force of attraction. So if there is a liquid, it has a certain amount of intermolecular force of attraction which keeps it apart but not divide, and it lets it flow but not as rigid as solid. So when you apply heat, the intermolecular force reduces. So this reduction in the intermolecular force changes its state to gases. So gas can move apart and all. So what we are thinking about is that these hydrogen bonds, okay, so 3 hydroxyl groups will make more hydrogen bonds in glycerine than only 1 hydroxyl group. In molecular force of attraction between the molecules of glycerine will be
One more
than
thing.
between the molecules
One
of
more
alcohol.
thing. Swar, please rectify. Due to hydrogen bonding, the molecules behave as a giant molecule.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
See,
Structured form.
water is liquid, whereas hydrogen sulfide, which is of the same family compound having
Yes.
higher molecular weight, is a gas. Why? Because in
Base of hydrogen bond.
water there is hydrogen bond, and in
Yes, ma'am.
hydrogen sulfide no hydrogen bonds are there. Because of
Yes.
this giant molecular structure having many singular molecules joined by hydrogen bonding, we are having the properties
Yes.
changed. So for the giant molecule, the boiling
Yes.
point
Yes.
is much higher
Similar.
than the singular molecule.
Because yes, the force of attraction is more, so we need to supply more heat to reduce it. That was what I was going to. That was what I was discussing.
By
So what-
applying heat, you are breaking the bonds. And
Yes,
when
ma'am.
more number of bonds are being broken, more heat has to be supplied. That's why the boiling point becomes higher.
Yes. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so that is
That's
why I
the
was.
work of glycerin.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
in
so
short,
what-
ma'am, in short,
what I was
if you were to tell these kids why glycerin, how glycerin prevents, how would you tell them in a very simple manner why glycerin prevents the evaporation of alcohol to my kids,
Ma'am, I
ma'am?
would just say that. Ma'am, I would just say that when we mix glycerine with alcohol, it forms a force of attraction between both these molecules, and the force of attraction increases. So we need to supply more heat, and so it takes enough time to kill the pathogens.
See, 3 molecules of isopropyl alcohol will be joining with 1 molecule of glycerol. Hello.
Yeah. Continue, ma'am. Continue.
3 molecules of isopropyl alcohol will be joining with 1 molecule of glycerol, and glycerol has got higher density.
Yes.
And that is why the rate of evaporation will be slowing down.
All those,
Please mute your.
all those who are not muted, please take care. Let the program go on smoothly. Check
I
your
would-
mics, check your mics. Please mute yourself.
I was going to the same point that the boiling point of glycerine is 270 degrees Celsius, and the boiling point of isopropyl alcohol is just 82.6 degrees Celsius. Even, yeah, there is a difference between their masses, and they are more denser, glycerine, but more also the hydrogen bond plays a role. And that hydrogen bond actually plays a role in when we mix it, and it helps not to evaporate.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So another thing why
Okay.
glycerine is used is that hydrogen peroxide is
Sir,
irritating
let
to our skin.
ma'am
So
explain.
when we add
Ma'am is
glycerine,
the chemist, so let her explain. It's okay. Sri Rupa ma'am, please. You've been muted for some reason.
No, I have already told. Where I felt that the students must know the underlying principle. That is what I have told. Even the water which we are using, that will also form hydrogen bonding.
So ma'am, Sheila ma'am's question is to a very young child. How will you explain what is the role of glycerin like?
Glycerin, Swar told no, that glycerin will have the preventing properties of for evaporation by formation of hydrogen bond because it contains 3 hydroxyl groups. That's why I told that 3 molecules of isopropyl alcohol will be joining with 1 molecule of glycerol. That is
So
how
the-
the overall molecular weight of the unit will increase and evaporation will slow down. Plus, glycerol has got lubricant properties which will prevent drying of the skin also, because when you apply alcohol onto your skin, the moisture from the epidermal cells will be taken up by the alcohol molecules to form hydrogen bonding, which is a sort of physical bonding, not chemical bonding. And that will be prevented by addition of glycerin. Glycerin is utilized for most of our lubricating cosmetic preparation. All these skin drying,
Moisturizers,
moisturizer, cream, cold cream, all of them contain glycerin for this purpose.
Okay, so and friends can continue.
Yes, so let's continue
So
to the next part.
now, yes.
Thank you, sir, for that explanation. Now let's continue with the next part. Let me tell you, we are going to be preparing a room freshener at our home. Now you must be wondering why not to buy a room freshener from the market. First of all, those are toxic, which may end to some diseases. Also, they aren't economical and they don't last much long. So now let's get starting with the experiment.
Ma'am, 1 minute, removing background. Yeah.
So now we will be needing a plastic container with some holes in it. Also bicarbonate of soda, or mainly known as baking soda. Here I am using fabric conditioner. You can also use perfume or any liquid that has aroma. Now what we need is remove the plastic lid and add bicarbonate soda in it until it fills half of the container. As you can see, it's almost till the half. And now we are going to add the fabric detergent as for aroma. It should not be too thin, but at least it should look like a creamy paste. Now mix it well. Make sure there are no balls of the baking soda left. It should all be smooth. Now it's done perfectly. And now just close the lid, and there. It is a very short and fun experiment you can do. And now let me tell you the benefits. First of all, as I said, it's non-toxic. It is organic because most of that fabric conditioner contains organic materials. Then it is easy to make, it is cost effective, and also you can keep it in your bathroom or your living room because, as I said, I'm using fabric conditioner or perfume. We need our clothes to be smelling good, or it needs to have an aroma. So why not our room? So we are trying this. And also our room freshener has a relativity with psychology. So I'll let Samruddhi explain you with that. Thank you.
Hello everybody. So fresheners are often used in our living rooms and bathroom to improve our mood and freshen up our minds and surroundings. So do you know why our mood gets good when we experience the influence of fragrance of these air pockets? The answer for this term is aroma association. Aroma association is when it affects the aroma affects an individual physically and mentally. So as we are making use of baking soda in this freshener, so new- uh, baking soda is actually odorless, but as it reacts with other acids and salts, it turns into neutral smelling. And talking about the fabric conditioner we have used is almost organic and obviously gives us a good fragrance. So talking about the psychology behind these air fresheners and plus why do we use them? So why do we care about the air quality? Because sometimes there are bad odors in the air. So we use air fresheners to improve the air quality. It can make your home more inviting, but it can also remove the bad odor molecules due to various air care technologies. So psychology is cool and I would love to share some facts about it. So your nose is connected to the memory center of your brain. So that's why the smell can trigger most of the powerful memories. So we actually smell with our brain, not with our nose. So it's the power of the scent. A person's sense of smell is the weakest in the morning and it has the ability to perceive the odor increase throughout the day. Okay, so have you ever thought that whenever we ought to buy a room freshener, we willingly look into first that is it organic or inorganic? So let me tell you one thing. The organic fresheners that we use, it's natural and spread its fragrance all over. But same case isn't with the inorganic ones. The inorganic fresheners have many toxic chemicals into them, which is very harmful for us. Thank you.
Okay, now as Samruddhi has talked about the air fresheners, we all are like bombarded with air fresheners, like seemingly every day. Like in case of restaurants, hotels, business places, even cars and taxis. Like they contain ingredients that are associated with various health effects. So this constant exposure to air freshener is really a cause of concern. So that is why children have selected this topic as second, the air freshener, which is like non-toxic, free from chemicals and also economic. So I hope by now we would be able to make hand sanitizer, which is formulated by WHO, and room freshener, which is very easily prepared at home. Thank you.
Well, very, very nice, Christy and all the children of NHP, New Horizon. A few things, few points to ponder. We will not discuss them, but you can always think about it and refer to different sources. Nowadays, things are available. Like, what is the difference between organic and inorganic, and why do you say that the fabric freshener is organic?
Ma'am,
So
I just wanted to ask that only.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we will not go into discussion
let's
of it.
not
You can
discuss, yeah.
because too much time consuming. But you can always search for the answer of it, and you can put your answers and your discussion or the points in the chat box. We have that group, no? 8A8B group.
WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp group, yes. In the WhatsApp
Hello.
group, you can put your answers. Yes, yes, Malutai, your question.
May I ask one question?
Yes, madam.
It was very interesting, no doubt. Initially, when this child was explaining the hand sanitizer, he said we use water also, distilled water.
Yeah.
But in the procedure, he didn't mention it. So is it because the isopropyl alcohol is 70% strength? Is that because of that?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Because it's already diluted with the water, so there is no need for distilled water. So we have already have to mix it. But if
that's what
But if you want to have distilled water and we can get a 70% pure alcohol and we have a 99% pure, we can take 85 ml of distilled water and then we could cook 1 cup of alcohol in it. So it would be the same thing which we used in the experiment.
Ma'am, may I ask one last question? Son, where did you get this isopropyl alcohol from? How did you go to the chemist and ask for it?
Ma'am, we can get this isopropyl alcohol in any chemist shop.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get it.
Was it given to
any-
children because we need it for an experiment? Was it given to children or a
to
grown-up person?
anybody can
I have
get it.
purchased it, ma'am, actually.
No,
Like,
children
yeah,
can-
anybody. It's readily available, easily available, ma'am, in the chemist shops.
Done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'll like to share a PPT for everyone. Those have missed at least one point, so everything is recapped. May I?
Yes, quickly. Sound is very less.
Increase the volume, Amartya.
It's up to full.
I think you have not shared the computer screen.
I've shared computer sound. Wait, let me try again. Now, yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay.
May I say something?
Yes, Shri Rupa ma'am.
Hydrogen peroxide gets decomposed into water and nascent oxygen very readily.
Yes.
And in presence of water, the reaction is very rapid. So if you give 72 hours standing time, then your hand sanitizer will not have any effect of the nascent oxygen which is present in hydrogen peroxide and which is causing the death of rhinovirus, as you told. So that much standing time, I don't think you will require.
Ma'am, may I answer the question?
Yes.
Ma'am, actually 72 hours aren't required for the hand sanitizer to get active. 72 hours are actually required for the internal viruses that might be present in the container to kill.
But may I add on
No, not possible. It will not require 72 hours because beforehand only you were using a sanitized container where to keep. So why you want to sanitize it for 72 hours? That
Ma'am,
is
the issue was we had 70% alcohol and 30% water. So because we have already have diluted water, so there was a rapid reaction. While in the case where we have seen in the PPT, there is distilled water mentioned in it, and the process is for distilled water. So 72 hours may be required or not, but at least a few minutes will be done.
yes, that's what I am saying.
Mom, I think that was a misconception, and that was an no one added it in by speaking, but it remained on the
will
slide. Ma'am.
require maybe half an hour or 15 minutes even for the standing time, not 72 hours. It can't be.
Yes, ma'am. I think there was some issue while making the PPT.
Ma'am, it remained on the slide, ma'am. That is why, ma'am, we were asked this question, ma'am, in a trial. So
No,
we
the
found
thing is that perhaps you have not come up to that level to know the reactions of hydrogen peroxide so well. That's why you have committed this mistake. Please rectify it. That is my request. Because if you tell it to others and if they know, then they will point it out. I am just telling you so that your efforts should not go in vain. Okay? You have done a very good job. Please do these small corrections so that it will be 100% correct and acceptable.
Sure. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. We will rectify that.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am will rectify.
You need not have to sorry. We learn in this way by discussion with others.
Yes, I'm so glad I have learned so much, children. I'm writing down notes over here. Thank you so much. You triggered our gray cells. Thank you so much.
I have also taken down the point.
Yeah, I'm taking down some. No, sorry, nothing.
No,
Science
sorry.
goes.
We are learning in the process.
Yes.
We are learning and
it is a mutual process. Always when you discuss, both the parties are getting benefited. That's why it is said that when you discuss, Goddess Saraswati comes in.
Yeah, correct. We have to discuss, and if we make mistake, and we should be ready to accept it and rectify it. There is no need to say sorry. You have done a wonderful job, children, and taken so much effort. For last 2 weeks, they are struggling to make some things, and without having the laboratory support, they all by themselves. Getting isopropyl alcohol, hydrogen peroxide. At least in the process, you know what is hydrogen peroxide, what is isopropyl alcohol, what is the formula. All so many things you have learned.
Tripta ma'am,
yes.
All great discoveries were a result of some mistakes.
Yes.
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 Yes, that is true. Acha, one thing I have not understood, please excuse me
Suparna,
for
you
my...
took away my sentence. I was just about to say.
Yeah. Yes, Suparna ma'am, I have a question to the children, and you please note it down. Please, you also answer if they are not able to answer to me. That when this sodium bicarbonate was mixed with something, what was that? Fabric conditioner.
Yeah, essential oil.
Essential oil, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So what is the reaction taking place, and what is the form of the vapor which are making the air fresh? What are the contents in the air which are being released along with the carbon dioxide? Maybe some water in that must be releasing carbon dioxide along with some aroma. So what is that aroma molecules of?
May I answer?
Yes, ma'am.
See, essential oils, mostly they are either terpenes or esters, both of which are mostly plant-based. And some of them are also of animal origin. But animal origin things are much more costlier, so mostly plant-based items are used. These essential oils, these molecules, they evaporate, and the evaporated molecules move on with air current, and when it reaches our nostrils, we get the sense of smell. Now, what is happening? Even on keeping, sodium bicarbonate breaks up into sodium carbonate,
and
carbon dioxide gas is released along with little bit of water vapor.
Yeah.
So these molecules, gaseous molecules, water vapor and carbon dioxide, they carry the essential oil molecules which are getting evaporated to our nostrils.
But
that is how we get the smell.
Yeah, even if the carbon dioxide is not there, sodium bicarbonate is not there, you just leave the essential oil in a petri dish covered with the hold lid.
Yeah,
it will definitely give the aroma.
Aroma, it will definitely give, but with sodium bicarbonate mixture, it is becoming quickened process. For example, when you apply any perfume, you apply on pulsating points, on nape of the neck, on your wrist, etc., where the body temperature is comparatively more than the rest part of the body. And that is how the essential oil molecules get evaporated sooner and the smell is perceived.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this answer will benefit many more people.
Yes.
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 Yeah. Next, anybody has any question? And if you don't want to say now, you can always put it in your WhatsApp group and it will be answered by some or the other person. Okay? Whoever
I have
is
written in the chat box.
Okay.
So is it what ma'am was saying?
Yeah.
Tripta ma'am, no,
Yeah.
it is not a question, but I just want to add something
Ah.
about this room freshener. Even if we keep a mixture of sodium bicarbonate
and
a little water in the refrigerator, refrigerator also becomes odorless. You know?
Acha, in this connection, this I knew, but I always thought that the sodium bicarbonate also helps in absorbing the bad odor.
That's
so?
why if
Is
you
it
keep
so?
it in the refrigerator,
yeah,
then the odors of different things or sometimes
get absorbed in the sodium
get
bicarbonate.
absorbed. Yeah.
Yes, is it true?
Yeah, it is true. I have tried it
Yes,
many times.
odoriferous molecules, they are mostly acidic in nature and they react with sodium bicarbonate forming salts, and that is how it is getting neutralized and the smell is not perceived. For example, in summer months, you perspire more and perspiration is acidic, and then your clothes are getting the bad odor of perspiration.
Yeah.
Most of our these anti-perspiring materials, they contain sodium bicarbonate and magnesium chloride solutions, so that neutral salts with the acidic odoriferous substances are formed and the odor is removed from the body.
Okay, that's good. Very good. Addition to my knowledge, I think others are also helped with this. Now,
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Those acidiferous molecules you said, was it because it was given by some living microorganisms?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are secretion of the microorganism. They are acidic in nature. All the odoriferous substances, bad odor, they are due to the acidic substances formed, and they are getting neutralized, forming salts with sodium bicarbonate.
Oh, so this is an answer for the CBSE. How does neutralization help? Very good.
Okay. Malutai, please mute yourself.
I have muted myself.
No, you have not. Okay. Now we go to the next part of the.
Muted.
Yeah. We go to the next part of the program today, second part, that was about food adulteration. Yes, maybe begin with that. Suparna ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Please go
ahead. A question for all the students and all the audience, that what is food adulteration? And second question is, what is the first food required by all the living beings, mammals especially we'll talk about. First food which is used by the small babies of mammals. Yes, so who is going to answer the question?
Milk.
Very good. Who has answered this one? Yeah, first food for all the babies is milk. And if the milk is available from mothers, breast, then it is the best. But if it is not available, we get the milk from some other sources. Yes?
Ma'am?
Yeah, from some other sources, maybe cow milk, goat milk, or buffalo milk, or
Go on.
yeah. What
Ma'am, as
happens?
you asked what is adulteration, ma'am, it is basically like
Yes.
we need it does not meet it naturally, so we add something externally into it to meet the certain levels. Like for example, there are iron fillings used in tea for adulteration.
Very good. Very good. You gave a very good answer. And with the example, when something is added, why it is added? Another question. Why the extra unnatural things which are not good are added?
Probably because like on every food there is certain logo that we on every company that we are producing, that is it meets the legal terms needed that every food it is natural. So for that they add that, like even if it is not containing, still
more
for
profit.
production they add that.
Why do they
More
add?
profit.
And
I didn't get the correct answer.
to increase the quantity,
Yes, who said that?
teacher Smita.
Yes, Smita. To increase the quantity. Why do we want to increase the quantity?
To get more profit, ma'am.
To get more
Yes,
profit. That is the
reduce
simple way. We want to get more profit. The person who is selling it wants to get more profit with less efforts. Yes. So
To be more
adulteration.
appealing, to be more appealing to the
Yes, I think Priya is trying to say something.
More appealing. She's saying
Yeah.
more appealing, like the dal, no? Made it more yellow and all.
Yeah. We want to make it look more appealing. Why? So that the consumer is
Isn't it,
ready to buy it
ma'am?
easily.
Tripura,
Yes.
ma'am?
Yeah. Yeah, bolo, Priya. I'm not able to hear you.
Adding more color. Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Like even in carrots, they add color. It look
yes
with fresh, to give the freshness.
To give a fresh look.
Sometimes to give freshness, sometimes to attract the consumer.
Yes.
And even coriander leaves, they are like submerged
Even
in
the
some
curry.
sort of silicone for like to look that they are fresh, like just from the farm.
But our government, so what is the definition for food adulteration? Somebody can say the correct definition for food adulteration?
Ma'am, mixing of chemicals in food substances is known as adulteration.
Not chemicals, not necessarily chemicals.
Altering the true substance for any reasons.
Related to debasing the food's quality by replacing replacing the food with something which is not natural or external.
Which is external, yeah. That will reduce the quality and increase the quantity of the food. Okay, that is correct. Yes, Shri Rupa ma'am, will you give a exact definition given by the government of India?
It is almost correct what the student said.
Yeah, he said it very correctly, rebasing the.
So you can observe it now from the slide.
Yeah.
What is an adulterant?
Yeah.
Adulteration is the process, and adulterant is the substance which is mixed with the food material, actual food material, to increase the quantity and decrease the quality.
To avail more money with a lesser effort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is for the benefit of the seller, with the harm to the consumer.
Yes. So how it started?
In fact, adulteration, the idea first started during Second World War, when food was not available all the while, and therefore in order to prolong the food chain, to increase the shelf life, sometimes things were added, but soon people found that it is a process to make more easy money, and that started the adulteration process.
Yeah.
However, in India at present, the rate of adulteration is gradually reducing because of the strict vigilance which has been kept up by the inspectors of FSSAI, the Indian counterpart of Food and Drug Administration. And that is how, comparatively, the percentage has been reduced at present, which was rampant earlier, say some 5-10 years back.
Yeah, almost 20 years back it was more. But nowadays they are having more, as there is more restriction on adulteration, and FSSAI is keeping a vigilant over it. They
and
are
very
using
high
better method.
penalty,
Yeah.
very
There is
high
penalty.
penalty is posed on any adulteration.
But as these adulterants are reduced, different methods of adulteration have been started, which are becoming very difficult. So in olden days, I would like to show you about the most primary food, the basic food of every individual, that is milk. Yeah. So here I have some milk samples. Here, this is bottle 1 containing pure milk with good density, natural density, and usable with full of nutrition. Cow's milk, or you can call it whole milk. Here, bottle number 2. I think the number is seen ulta. Here, you can make out. See?
There is water in it.
Yes, correct. And how can you make out by looking at it that there is water in it?
No, ma'am. Because when you are shaking, as you said in the first one, it is pure. So, ma'am, it is like blurring out the
trickling
water
down. Yes.
Yeah. But now since this has water, so it is not that dense, so it's not sticking. It's
density of the milk in bottle number 1 shows more, and in the second one we can make out that it is mixed with water. Here, water is not harmful, but we don't know what kind of water has been added to it. So it can become harmful if it is some dirty water, because they are not going to mix it with good water, isn't it? So, and the nutritious value of the food also decreases. So why do they add water? To increase the volume and get more money. Okay. But we have another, we can make out. You could just see and say that it is watery, it is diluted with water, so people will not buy and they will be able to make out. So what they do, instead of adding only water, they may also add starch. See, now in this, both the bottles are showing same thickness, same density. Can you make out? Are you able to hear me? Not getting any response.
Yes, ma'am. We are not able to make out, like, just by seeing.
Yes, yes. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes.
In this bottle number 3, I've labeled it 3. I should have labeled it the other way around. It is seen ulta, na? So in this, the starch has been added, but this presence of starch can be identified by adding a few drops of iodine in it. Can you all see this? I have iodine bottle.
Yes.
And when I add few drops of iodine in it, see the color of milk changes. You compare it with the bottle having milk in bottle number 1. Okay?
Yes.
it changes the color. Whereas in pure milk, it will not change. Now, another thing, so we can find out what is the adulterant present in milk. Another bottle I have, in this, they add, there are some times when they add detergent. Why do they add detergent? Any answer? Detergent is added to, you can refer, is added to stabilize the milk and increase its shelf life. So it can be found out by adding water and shaking it. You will find that there is a lot of foam produced, froth is produced on the top, which is not produced in milk directly. See how much of froth, can you see? In the pure milk, you cannot see the froth. Can you make out? Are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So
Yes, ma'am.
3 adulterants you saw: addition of water, addition of water to increase the volume, starch to increase the density, and addition of detergent to stabilize the milk. So all these adulterants are harmful, but they are useful for the seller and harmful for the consumer. So consumer
May
should
I
say-
add something? May I
Yes.
add something?
Yes, yes.
When you are verifying if there is detergent added to it, you could test for alkali there, because all
Yes.
detergent consists of alkali.
Yes.
So if you take out a little bit of water containing detergent and add haldi to it, you will immediately get the result of alkali.
Okay. If we add
Or litmus paper,
Yeah.
litmus paper.
Or
but
litmus
if
paper,
you don't
but-
have litmus paper, you can
Yeah.
use haldi.
Yes.
Yes, haldi,
You can use.
if you use haldi,
Hmm.
then it will turn brown in color.
reddish brown.
Yes, showing the
Reddish brown.
presence of detergent.
Alkali is present.
Yes, we will try that also. As madam said just now, I'll get haldi and add it to it.
Really, ma'am, do they add detergents and all? My doubt, my God.
Yes, ma'am, they do add
They
urea.
do, and it's
Yes.
not detergent.
Here we
they
have
add
haldi,
sodium carbonate.
and this is the milk with detergent, and
Very unfair to add detergent. You can
Very
add water if
small
you want.
quantity of
Yeah.
haldi.
Yeah.
I'm using a, can you all see me doing
Yeah,
this?
Yes,
Taken small
Yes.
Take
quantity
out a
of,
little separately. Take
Yeah.
out a little separately.
can you all see me?
She's telling, take out that milk separately, not like that, not like that.
Not
Yeah.
total quantity, take small
Okay,
quantity.
थोड़ी सी
okay,
quantity लेके उसमें try
okay.
करिए.
This test tube you can see?
Yeah, mini test tube.
Yeah, and in this test tube I'm adding. Good, you told me I would have spoiled the whole milk otherwise.
The milk नहीं टेस्ट का रिजल्ट नहीं आना ना.
हाँ. Is there any change?
No.
This milk I have used in which detergent was.
You can do it on a sauce.
Your
There was
detergent is
detergent
good.
in this.
Your detergent is too good.
Huh.
No change.
It has no alkali. It has no alkali.
It has no alkali, but detergent was there.
Your
Anyway,
detergent is
ठीक है.
also contaminated.
No, because when
detergent is of very good quality.
when we wash clothes on which there is a turmeric spot, that turns red when you
Correct,
try
correct.
and wash it with
You're
detergent.
right, you're right.
Another thing I just want to add is if they don't, I don't know which alkali they add, but sometimes they add sodium carbonate, that is washing soda,
Washing
the milk,
soda they add.
which is so
Yes.
dangerous for the stomach and for children.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Suparna madam is going to show a small video on how the artificial milk is being made and which we cannot test by any method. Suparna ma'am, are you going to
now
show?
the color of turmeric is turning darker.
No.
I think your turmeric also perhaps
adulterated
No.
or too good.
No. Turmeric is all right. Now it is reacting with the detergent and giving you the darker color.
Is it?
Yes.
मुझे तो नहीं लग रहा है, मगर maybe.
होना चाहिए, होना
I can
चाहिए,
make
होना
out.
चाहिए.
हाँ, होना
I
चाहिए.
can make out.
Grammatically correct.
Okay. Suparna ma'am, will you show that small video on how is milk being made nowadays? Artificial milk?
Helps you craft.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. By the time Suparna ma'am shows you that video of milk, I will show you one that boy was talking, who was telling that tea leaves are mixed with iron filings. How can we make out whether the tea leaves are mixed with iron filings?
Or by using the magnet.
Using a magnet. So here you see how I've added little extra iron filings in it, and see. This
These
is a
iron filings are cheaper than tea leaves that they have to add.
yes, ma'am. We don't have to buy that high grade iron filings. You can just use the pieces of iron, small pieces
Deepta
of
madam
iron.
has taken fresh iron filings and
Yeah,
they
that I
will
can
be
see.
using
Hmm.
rusted iron filings.
They will be using
brown
rusted
in
iron.
color,
Yeah.
so that
See,
it will mix
we can
with
separate
tea
and-
powder.
Yeah, adulterated with tea powder can be separated using a magnet. Okay, now Suparna ma'am, please show.
No sound.
सफेद दूध का काला कारोबार, making milk.
Operation दूध.
Yeah, Operation दूध. Can you increase? Acha, we'll send this in the WhatsApp group, this video, and you can also find it out. And all must have seen it. It was on the news, ABP News ka clipping hai ye.
What is he adding?
With 2 liters of milk, the fellow is making 30 liters of milk using detergent.
Yes.
Then
vegetable,
very
that
cheap quality
palm oil,
vegetable
palm oil and detergent. Sodium
and
hydroxide.
sodium carbonate.
Sodium carbonate.
And it is अच्छा खासा झाग बन गया। इसके बाद इसमें तेल मिलाया गया। तेल मिलाते ही इसका रंग पीला होने लगा, लेकिन फिर भी इस शख्स ने पूरा तेल डाल दिया। इसके बाद वो बहुत देर तक अपने हाथ से ही इसे मिलाता रहा। ये अच्छा खासा दूध दिखने लगा है। थोड़ी देर पहले जो तेल था, वो तेल पूरा बदल के ये जो पूरा तेल था जो इस डिब्बे में रखा हुआ था, इसमें 2 किलो दूध था और इसमें जो डिटर्जेंट था, इन तीनों चीजों के मिश्रण से अब ये अच्छा खासा दूध हो गया है। और इसमें कहीं से आप पहली नजर में देख के कह नहीं सकते कि ये मिलावटी दूध है, सिंथेटिक दूध है और या फिर इन तमाम चीजों से बना हुआ है। कुछ देर बाद इसका पीलापन खत्म हो गया और एक सफेद गाढ़ा मिक्सचर तैयार हो गया। हम ये देखकर हैरान थे कि आखिर इससे वो दूध कैसे तैयार होगा जिसे देखकर असली या नकली का फर्क भी नहीं पता चलता। हमारे देखते ही देखते इस शख्स ने बगल में रखे ग्लूकोज के पानी में पहले अपने हाथ धोए और फिर वो पूरा ग्लूकोज वाला पानी तेल और डिटर्जेंट वाले गाढ़े मिक्सचर में मिला दिया। इसके बाद इस नकली दूध को छाना जाता है और फिर वो आपके घरों तक पहुंचने के लिए तैयार हो जाता है। इस आदमी ने हमारी आंखों के सामने करीब 20 लीटर नकली दूध तैयार किया। इसे बनाने के लिए उसने सिर्फ 2 लीटर मलाई निकला हुआ सेपरेटर दूध, थोड़ा सा लिक्विड डिटर्जेंट, 2 किलो घटिया क्वालिटी का रिफाइंड तेल,
You are able to hear now?
Yeah.
This is Joe. Say hi, Joe. Hi. He's a designer, a great one, I might add.
Okay, over.
Yes,
He wanted
yes.
to be greater. He just needed a new product.
Yeah, like this, there are many kinds of adulterations in milk and milk product are seen. And here we have ghee made out of milk. Can you see, all of you? Are you able to see ghee? I'm not. Yeah, light.
थोड़ा tilt करो मैम.
गिर जाएगा.
अच्छा.
दिख रहा है?
Light गिर रहा है उस पे. हाँ.
Yes, yes, दिख रहा है,
दिख रहा है ना?
हाँ, हाँ, we can see yellow.
इसके अंदर
yellow color.
boiled.
So-
This is a part of boiled potato, and this boiled mashed potato, when mixed with ghee, gives exactly same texture like the ghee. So this can also be tested with the help of same iodine, because starch reacts with iodine to give
blue color.
Okay, these simple methods we could use, but the people who are adulterating the stuffs, they are smarter and they are changing the full constitution of milk, and we are not able to find out with simple things. So new techniques, I don't think so I need to show anything else. Yeah, sometimes sugar is mixed with starch. Sugar is mixed with, not starch, sugar is mixed with calcium carbonate, that is chalk powder. How we can see, all those who are looking here, please see how you get effervescence by adding acid into the calcium carbonate if present in. Can you see the effervescence? Yeah.
Yes, yes, we can see.
Yeah.
So this is
Very
due
well.
to due to the presence of calcium carbonate, that is chalk powder, in sugar. So this effervescence could be seen. Now, like this, many other small things we can use, as Malti ma'am said, that we can use haldi at home to detect the presence of detergent or in any sodium bicarbonate in the milk. Like that, small simple things we were using, but now with the addition of changing the constituents of the product completely, making it difficult to identify the adulterant present in the food stuff. So new technology, which Suparna ma'am is going to explain how we can identify with the spectroscopy to find out what are the adulterants present in the foodstuffs by handheld spectrometer. Yes, am I right, Suparna ma'am?
Yeah. Can I just show how green vegetables are?
Yes.
They are also adulterated. Like somebody, one of the children mentioned coriander, I think.
Yeah.
So similar thing.
Yes,
we can
yes.
show. Actually, one of my colleagues, they showed in the laboratory. There's a dye called malachite green. It's a green dye. So it's generally used to color green peas and other green vegetables like pointed gourd and all that. So you can see in the petri dish, she's adding the dye to the green peas, and she has cut some snake gourd pieces and she's coloring that also. This dye is harmful, very harmful. But once you have dipped in that, you have to just keep it dipped for some while, and then you can just strain it off. See, she's immediately removed the pieces, and she will just strain off the dye, right? Then the color remains. You can see that the pointed gourd is colored almost immediately. In fact, you can see the stain on her fingers also. See, she's showing, she's trying to wash off. But even if she tries to wash off, the color doesn't go so easily, right? So keep it dipped in that and the color becomes green. When you have some vegetables which have become slightly stale, they are a few days old something, then this is what they do. They add this malachite green and then strain off the excess dye and leave it to dry. When you leave it to dry, the color will be on the vegetable. Even if you gently wash it, not thoroughly, if you gently wash it, the color is still on the vegetable. You can see that the color is still there on the vegetable, and you take a fresh filter paper, you dry it on it, and you will still see that the color is there on it, right? Just keeping the peas for some longer time because they are whole, whereas this you can see that the dye has gone inside. You just see here, see the color has gone inside, the white pieces are instantly colored, and here the green pieces are still soaking, and you will find it looks fresher as compared to when it was initially taken. So the name of the chemical is malachite green. It's a dye actually used in the laboratory for staining endospores. I think somebody while talking about sanitizers mentioned spores. So this is generally used for staining endospores in the laboratory. Okay. Now coming back to the modern methods, there's something called Raman spectroscopy. To go into the principles of that will be very difficult to understand at this level, but I will try my best to explain it in very layman terms. Okay, suppose you have a fairly hard ball and you hit it against a wall, right? You're throwing it with some energy, right? So it will bounce back from the wall with three options are there. One, it will come with the same energy. One, it can come with lesser energy. And one, which is most unlikely, it will come with higher energy. Okay. Now, when it comes back with the same energy, we say it has been Rayleigh scattered. You can think of light in terms of photons, which are like this ball analogy that I gave you. So when it is scattered, light photons are scattered from some surface with the same energy, then we say it is Rayleigh scattering. That is what we are generally seeing all around us. We are seeing blue color, we are seeing red color when the sun sets, and all this is because of Rayleigh scattering. Okay, but some energy is lesser energy light is also given out when it falls on specific objects, but our detectors are not sensitive enough to detect it. So Raman was one scientist, we should be very proud, he's an Indian scientist. So he discovered that there are other frequencies besides the frequency that of light that initially fell on the object, right? So the other frequencies can be of higher or lower frequencies, right? So now you tell me, in the visible light, what are the colors that you see in the spectrum?
Ma'am, the 7 colors of the ma'am, the way bigger.
So the what do they correspond to? They're corresponding to different frequencies actually, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you would say if you want your grandfather, grandmother to get some fomentation of some kind, you get an infrared lamp or something to give heat and all. So that is having higher energy as compared to UV or lesser energy. You can tell me. Generally, something is heated, you will see it is red hot and all that.
Ma'am, more energy.
So red is associated with higher energy, but lesser. You will see, or what is it?
Blue.
Blue is what?
For colds.
Anybody else can answer?
Something to do with wavelength or something.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
So wavelength and frequency are inverse. Okay. The higher the wavelength, lower is the energy. So if you've seen the flame, when it starts, it's red, then it goes to what somebody said, blue. You will go to higher and higher energy. Okay. So anyway, the thing is, now Raman said, if we check the other lower frequencies, not the incident frequency, then we can get like how when you made the Aadhaar card, you had given your fingerprint. This was characteristic of you, like Sheila ma'am gave for her fingerprint. It cannot be Ojas's fingerprint. I mean, I can identify Ojas as different from Sheila ma'am different from Swar different from Amartya, correct? So this is characteristic of Sheila ma'am, and her fingerprint is not to be found anywhere else. That is what we used in our Aadhaar card, correct? Now.
Correct, ma'am. Yes.
So this this thing is characteristic, is seen in spectrum also. Suppose we see a Raman spectrum of an object, it will be the fingerprint of that substance. Got it? So if that substance is now contaminated with another substance, obviously you will see overlap of one fingerprint on another. So you can make out that this thing has been contaminated. Now, why am I talking about all this? And in relation to food, we just said we can detect food contaminants and all that, right? Now, you must have heard in the market things like organic tomatoes or organic fruits and vegetables are available in the market. We should buy organic. That's very good for our health and all that, correct? Can somebody mentioned organic also when they were doing room fresheners also, right? So what is organic and what is not organic? I won't say inorganic. I will say what is not organic. Can you just explain what is the difference? Yes.
Ma'am, organic is from a living source.
Yeah, but we are getting tomatoes which are organic and some which are not organic also, right? So both are from living source only, no? You must have heard the label, right? Organic tomatoes, organic apples, and organic wheat.
Okay. So ma'am, they're using manure.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Manures, like
chemical.
not also manures. They can even use garlic peels like that. Like that, ma'am. Like they don't use fertilizers.
So the word is manure. Yeah.
Yeah, manure.
Manure.
Okay, you are right to a very large extent. The difference is that in organic, they don't use chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides. When you grow crops, the main thing, you require the plant to grow, give you large yield and all that. So you will add fertilizers to the soil. And when the crop is growing, you would like it to give you fruits, right? So it should not be attacked by pests and all that, which will destroy the fruits and vegetables. So you will immediately, you see a pest, you will try to destroy it by adding pesticides, correct? But those pesticides and those fertilizers which you use should not be chemicals. If they are chemicals, then what will happen? Traces of that will remain on the fruit or vegetables that you're buying, correct? So organic fruits and vegetables which are available in the market, those are costly because they have been grown without the use of these chemicals. And therefore, you know that somebody said manure is used, correct? When you're using those kind, the yield will not be very much. So they will not be able to get that much profit from that, correct? Now, if I give Sheila ma'am in both her hands 2 tomatoes and I tell her one is organic, one is not organic, please identify which is which. Will she be able to do that? No, she will just try and look at the texture. She will smell it. all that, but she will not be able to identify. And then she will wonder, why is it that I have given more money to purchase this organic tomato when the look and the texture and the smell, everything is the same, right? So what we can do is using a Raman spectrophotometer. Now see, in tomato, what is the thing that gives it the red color is a pigment called lycopene. Okay, so that lycopene has a characteristic spectrum, which we call its fingerprint. Okay, so on that fingerprint, if we see chemical fingerprints onto the spectrum, we can immediately identify that it has the chemical pesticide, chemical fertilizers have been used for growing this tomato. So we can distinguish between organic and not organic fruits and vegetables produce in general, correct? So am I clear so far?
Yes, very
Yes.
Okay. So now I'd like to show you a Raman spectrum, spectrophotometer setup first. Yeah, sorry, ma'am. 1 minute. Yeah, can you see this now?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the setup
First off,
they have.
what is Raman spectroscopy? This is a technique where you shine a light onto an object and then determine things about the molecular structure of that object by the way that the light is reflected. So specifically, if you shine a light of one color onto an object, you actually get light of different color coming back. This seems counterintuitive. If you shine a green light on something, it's not like you get red light back, but actually you do. It just happens to be like a billion times less intense. So this color shift is called a Raman shift. It has nothing to do with noodles. And the reason that you can't observe it is because the normal reflection, called the Rayleigh scattering, is just so much more intense. So you need a special setup to extract this color shift from the overpowering, not color shifted light. The neat thing is that the exact way that the color is shifted, for example, shining a red light on something might actually return a small amount of green light, will indicate the type of molecular bonds in the structure that's being observed. So depending on the vibrational modes and the rotational modes of the molecular bonds, you can actually get a different color shift. You actually get sort of a fingerprint for that specific molecule. This technique.
See, can you see the fingerprint he is talking about? This is the spectrum. Okay. These are the characteristic peaks that you can see for a particular substance. On top of these peaks, if we see additional peaks, then immediately we can identify contaminants in that. Okay. This is not a mobile one, not a handheld one. I'm just using the original one first so that you understand what's happening.
It's really useful because you don't have to destroy the object. All you're doing is shining light on it. And you can actually figure quite a lot out about the molecular structure. So here's my setup. I've got a helium neon laser tube, and this is a small amount of optics here, which I'll talk about in a minute. The sample is here. It's a polystyrene cup, styrofoam, and the light travels through here into a diffraction grating, and then I'm observing it with this camera. This is a DSLR camera that I've modified by removing its infrared filter. So there's actually nothing between the sensor surface and the front of the camera body, although I am using the stock lens in this case. Here's a schematic of my optical setup. This is the helium neon laser, and
Okay, now I'll try and show you the handheld one.
Food fraud, a costly problem that is harming people all over the world. To safeguard consumers, public authorities need fast, easy, and reliable food testing methods. Introducing MISA, the new solution from Metron in the fight against food fraud. MISA is a complete, portable identification solution that combines Raman analysis with nanotechnology, making it possible to identify trace amounts of common food adulterants. Whether it is artificial dyes, additives, or pesticides, MISA detects them all, even in complex samples. MISA is easy to use. Simply add your sample to Metron's SIRS material. Insert into the MISA. Press Acquire to start the measurement. And the MISA app shows you the result within seconds. Results and reports can be easily shared, allowing you to take immediate action. MISA, gear up for the fight against food fraud now.
ClickUp is the fastest growing productivity tool today.
Okay, just to make it a little bit interesting, just apart from the food, what else Raman can help you detect? Suppose there's a dangerous situation, okay? So you are going somewhere and there you are suspecting that there's some dangerous particle or drugs or something explosive maybe that is there in a suspected area. Then how will you go and identify? So this is how Raman helps you in identifying that. I'll try and show that to you.
Building clear. How to respond. This is the most important question facing an unknown material. Several unmarked containers. Is it a hazardous chemical, illegal drugs, or explosives? What is about to happen here is every operational manager's nightmare. What is that? Watch out. Don't touch it. It could be. This must never happen. Hello? Hello? To make the right decision, you have to know the threats you're exposed to. Welcome, Mira XTR DS. Our handheld Raman spectrometer instantly identifies the substances you are facing, whether they are solids, powders, or liquids, and it provides you with vital information to help you decide which steps to take next.
So you can appreciate that it is not only food that is there. I mean, the earlier video you saw SIRS, that is surface enhanced Raman, where you add the suspected food material to a liquid which enhances the spectrum, and then you check the spectrum using the handheld. Now this is you're pointing at something which you don't know. I mean, it's not, you cannot dissolve it in any liquid and all that, right? So this is way more different, but it's still using Raman. That's why I'm showing this to you, okay?
With the molecular fingerprints of more than 21,000 substances in its library, Mira XTR DS is the most powerful handheld Raman system on the market. Mira XTR is a ruggedized military-grade piece of lab equipment that fits in the palm of your hand for quick identification of unknowns. Safety first, mission always.
Okay, so any questions you can ask about Raman spectroscope?
I have a question, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
ये handheld spectrometer कहाँ मिलता है, किस किस को मिलता है? How easily it is available to test the things?
There are many kinds, I mean, many companies which have got this Raman, this thing, but then I think you will require certain licenses to operate them. So I don't think it is easily available to the common man. It's just that I wanted the children to appreciate that technology has advanced so much. It is beyond the lab tests that we knew. Like Tripta ma'am, you yourself pointed out that these lab tests which we did were very, crude tests and qualitative tests, which were done initially 20 years back.
Yeah.
Now technology has advanced so much that you get a spectral analysis, and for spectrum, you require very, very, very little material.
Yeah. And we can find out very small quantity of any adulterant, like organic tomato hai ya inorganic tomato hai, that can also be identified with the help of this. And one more thing, our government is taking good care about it. And if somebody is found cheating and found adulterating the food stuff, which is used by the consumer, then they have a big penalty and jail and big amount of.
Yeah, more than that, I think the children will be interested in knowing that since we are entering into the digital era and digital India and things like that,
yes,
you should appreciate that these things are now easily, and that technology is advanced so much that now we cannot do any adulteration. If you do, you are caught like this.
Yes, they can get caught. And we have to be careful while buying the things from the market and not to get scared all the time. Yes, this is adulterated, that is adulterated, should not eat this, should not eat that. But be careful about the substance about the things you buy from the market. Don't buy loose stuff, buy packed stuff, because that is authorized by the government of India. And
more than that, check for the seal of FSSAI.
Yes, check the seal of FSSAI. That is food safety. What is the full form, ma'am? Food safety, security of all India. Yes.
This is a question children will answer.
Okay. What is FSSAI? Food safety.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
Earlier, the laws were not so much in favor of consumer. Their cry was not reaching to the lawmakers. But now there is consumer court.
Yes.
Any person can approach consumer court if the item is not up to the standard, and if it is proved that it is below the standard which is fixed by the government, then the seller will be penalized, the manufacturer will be penalized, and consumers having this tool in their hand now can be safe.
So there is a scare in the seller ki wo adulteration, if they do adulteration, then they can get caught.
Yes.
Yeah. So Food Safety and Standard Authority of India is very strong, and they can check, and not to worry. Take care what you buy from authorized shops and packed stuff, not the loose stuff. And what about the vegetables, organic and inorganic? That
not inorganic, ma'am. Don't use the word inorganic.
Okay, organic, or what is the other word to be used?
Non-organic.
Non-organic. Okay. Organic and non-organic means in which the chemical fertilizers are used are non-organic, and in which the organic fertilizers are used are organic. Correct? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So children, you have any questions? That was the last word we had to say. You have any questions? Please ask.
I hope Raman's
For
spectroscopy interested you.
Yeah, appreciate.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, I didn't understood the first part. That how is that? How is that graph generated? Like, what is it actually?
You will have to learn something more before you understand the graphical presentation of Raman spectroscopy.
May I interject and just give a brief explanation for that graph?
Yes, Lalita ma'am, please.
Yeah.
We
So
needed your
how
expert
the spectrometer works is that there is a light, mostly for handheld, they use a very small laser beam, and whatever is scattered by the sample, it is collected by a detector, optical detector. And this detector is, and then it is spread out it is frequency separation takes place by prism or diffraction grating, and then it is recorded on a CCD camera. So this is how it is. It works. That means there is a transmitter, there is a detector, and there is a diffracting element or a refracting element, and that is how you create the spectrum. And this spectrum is recorded on a CCD camera, which is the detector. And it is combined with an electronics part, which immediately shows the spectrum on your screen. And it compares. Also, the software is already loaded in that, and it immediately compares it with the spectrum of a known element. As he said in one of the videos, almost 20,000 elements, compounds are already, stored in that software. So it is very easy for that instrument to compare it with a standard compound, and it shows what is there in that. So it compares it with what should be there and what is there, and whatever is extra thing is the pollutant or adulterant there. So that is how they detect this. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think he's talking about this graph. So in this graph, on the y-axis, you will see intensity.
Yes, y-axis is intensity and x-axis
is the frequency number.
Frequency component. Yeah.
Wave number, we call it. So you will see the wave number versus the intensity. And this whole spectrum is a fingerprint of this polystyrene here, for example.
And
so if you have an adulterant,
yeah, take it as your homework, children. You just go back and just from the Google, you will know. First, you understand what is Raman effect and how do you make a spectrometer. It's very, very interesting. And you will get a lot of information from that. So this will be your homework. And those of you who learn about it, you can post it in the chat box also. We will also be interested in knowing.
In fact, you can make your own video explaining the whole thing. We would love to have
not chat box, WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And please post,
Not
make
in
a
this
video
platform.
and post
Yeah,
it. We would love that.
In fact, the food, this Authority of India and the FSSAI, the inspectors who go for checking the, to different granaries, to different, factories of food producing units, they may be carrying also these handheld spectrometers nowadays. Otherwise, the normal condition was that the factories have to give a small sample to the food authority, that is FSSAI, and it will be tested, it will be approved. Then only the license is given to these people who make the, food products. So that is the way it operates.
Actually, what has happened that when they give the sample to the authority for checking, that is specially made. And that is why surprise checking,
yes,
while manufacturing is being done nowadays, yes, in most of the cases, so that the standard is maintained. There is no question of any malpractices.
Yes.
Okay. So
and all these inspectors, they are also highly educated and specially trained for analysis.
They must be passing out from chemistry, is that an analytical chemical department?
Analytical
chemistry, most of them are having degrees in analytical chemistry, master's degree, research experience, and all these things.
So not to worry about the food adulteration, but be vigilant, be careful, and take your things with the proper marks given on that packed food. You must look at the FSSAI mark on it. All those things have to be checked and then taken. So you have to be aware about things, what is happening, and how we can check if government is helping us out.
Ma'am, may I add a thing? May I say something?
Yeah.
I really loved today's session the most. I found it so living and so interactive right from the beginning. I hope all our sessions are like this. I really loved this session.
Good. So nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was combined effort of all.
Yes.
We are also improving gradually.
Yes.
Yeah, we have learned a lot.
Presenting the sessions better and better.
Thank you, children. We really wonderful session. You put our gray cells to use.
Here you can see that batches in the industry are being checked directly by Raman. So, quality is assured. So you can see that messages come accepted. This is the spectrum that you see on the handheld one. They are comparing. So this way batches are ensured. Batch scanning is done.
Okay.
So with the new technology, things are improving day by day. Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tripta. Thank you, teachers and the students.
Please put up a few pics up. No, please put a few pics up so that I can put it up in my school WhatsApp group also. Did anybody click a few pictures while the children were giving a text?
I didn't click any.
Okay. Christy, if you have anything, kindly send it to me. I would like to put it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
you,
bye
everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Bye, everyone.
Lalita,
Bye,
it's so nice
students.
to look at you.
Yeah.